Yeah, so I want to talk about how do you enter the matrix so easily? How do you how are you so like I've seen some of your recent streams where like you just maul Aklo, you maul KJH. And it's part of it because you have a good game plan. But I
Hmm.
think the bigger variable is because you just have better execution than them. Is
Yeah.
that like am I off of that statement?
No, I don't think so. And I think this is actually a really good thing to talk with me about specifically because
Yes.
it's my strong point
Yeah,
early on.
and I feel like you can get away with having such a strong execution versus everyone except for Mango because he has just as good, if not better, execution than you.
Hmm. Yeah.
And then that's like when you two actually like play out and like you're forced to have like better game plans to each other, not just having better, run them over with execution. But it seems like with everyone else, you can have a flawed game plan and still like run them over.
Yeah.
And that is something
Um,
I really want to talk about. Is like how do you enter the matrix so easily with being in the zone? And I know like the typical saying is that you just don't think of anything, you just do it. And I think I understand that. But what I think actually gets me in the zone at times is not necessarily when I'm thinking of nothing, but when I do feel like something is being processed in another part of the brain that I can't access, but I do feel like it's going on.
sure. I mean, so that's the end goal. I don't think you reach that point by just always thinking nothing. So I'm sure you've seen those videos that like Rishi's made or like
Yeah,
about being a body player
sure.
versus heart and what's the other one? Like mind.
Brain prayer. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Um, and that can be silly. Like I think it depends on the way you talk about it. It can be either useful or not useful. But I would classify myself from when I first started playing Melee as a body player or like execution based, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where I took pleasure in learning like weird techniques, like
Yeah.
doing things differently. So like when I first saw like PPU's video on edge canceling, right? And that was
Yeah.
really early on. I was like, I'm gonna get disgusting at this. And I
And then
like
you
the
did.
weird things, yeah, and then the weird things in Melee is what I was just like drawn to it. And I don't think that that's the type of player that you are, but I think it's something that you can work into your game. So a lot
I
of go ahead.
I was drawn to always having the proper game plan.
Right, and the way you talk about the game is a lot of like optimization in the way that you punish or the way that you break it down, which it's very necessary, and I need like it's something that I've added too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think, and this is especially helpful when you play like people who are worse than you. I think it would be very beneficial for you to just try to play super swaggy.
Okay.
And if you find and in ways that you enjoy, like things
Okay.
that you think are super cool, I think you need that in your gameplay. Like you need to have the conscious thought in your have you ever like when you're playing just been like, I'm fucking moving right now? Or
Yeah.
like yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
I've had moments, flashes of moments, but it's not ever consistent for me.
mhm.
And I have like questions to ask about that.
It's by doing like cool things in the game or like things it's all about building your confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And it might be a mental thing where when you do that, everything else is like boosted. It's just a stat booster all around. Um, so when I like learn stuff like PC dropping, I feel like, oh my God, I'm doing something different that people haven't seen before, and this is like building my confidence. And execution wise, I think like if it's something that you start to enjoy, like getting really fast at, like, are you like fast following your PC drops? I'm sure you've seen like some of my movement routines, like, um,
Here and there.
yeah, here and there. Um, just like what are some of your favorite techniques, like as a Marth player?
Uh, it's usually the simple things that get me like I love like tippering everything. Like if I could tipper
Sure.
everything and it leads to a kill, like that like that like quenches something.
Hmm.
Um
That is,
uh
and I think that's one of your strength when you're playing in tournaments, and like I feel like you have zones where you're just like hitting tippers that I don't hit. Like it, you find this like rhythm of hitting them all the time.
Yeah. I like doing something that's very unexpected. Like not necessarily like combo routes, but like also how I get the hit. If it's
Mhm.
if it's unexpected from them, I find great satisfaction in that as well.
Okay. Yeah. I think those are good things. Moving forward, but based off what you're talking about and the questions that you have on pure execution, I think we need to aim at more
More of like what I'm actually doing to the controller, not because I already
yes.
noticed what I'm saying is not very much. Okay, it's part execution, but not
It
like
is. It is part execution, but it's melded together with
yeah,
game plan or
yeah.
and you need to dumb. I've always said that they're players, so like I know so many players that I call muscle brains, and basically what that means is that they don't think about they're just insane execution. You need to become that basically, which
Okay,
is
I
I think
guess I guess if I were to rephrase that, I want to hit the basic things that are frame perfect, like doing acting out way dash frame one, doing a perfect pivot grab. Um,
yeah,
I think doing the simple things are the sickest thing, but it's like so subtle.
sure, yeah. Um, I think that's definitely something. Do you feel like you focus on that a lot, like when you're
No,
playing? Or
not that
okay,
much.
so I think you need to have sessions where you reframe what your goal is.
Yeah.
So I think you need to have execution-based sessions where your aim is to like really nail down, even if it's just the little things. And I
Hmm.
think you need to add in things like edge cancel. Like you already edge cancel on your combo, but like
Here and there,
here and there. But I
it's
think
like it's like
if you're playing
60% there.
yeah, if you're playing unranked, just like try to like mess around and like do swaggy stuff, honestly. Um, because that's the kind of stuff once you find something like that fun, your execution as a whole is just going to become naturally better. Also something that can help is playing Fox on the side. You're at a point where you're already good enough with like that it'll be like helpful for you to get really fast with Fox, and that a lot of that will translate over to Marth, and I know that happened with me.
Hmm.
Um, I'm trying to think of what else. I wanted to show like an example of the feeling that I'm talking about when I feel like I'm executing really, really well. Let me find it.
Looking forward to it.
It's it's posted by none on YouTube. Okay, it's me versus him.
Shilling the Golden Guardians, I see.
Oh, no, this is when his stream was all UIU. Let's see. Can you see this?
Yep.
Okay. I think it's this game. Yeah, it's right here. You can see like after this first combo on this stock, because the combo route is super weird. I remember thinking like after I did this combo, I was like, I'm playing hot,
Hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
then you do stuff like on this last stock.
Was
It's
this at SCL?
this is SEL, yeah.
Yeah.
Like yeah, so this like I'm not even thinking here. Like this is just all like stuff that like I've practiced like weird stuff like this before, and it's just completely boosting my confidence.
Yeah.
So there's like five different things in here that are all like weird executional tech skill based things
Hmm.
that I think are unique to me that give me confidence.
Yeah.
And it was happening throughout the set and it culminated into this.
Hmm.
Um and I think the more stocks you have like this and are capable of doing something like this, um and obviously you still like you can't be doing this all the simple stuff is so important.
Hmm.
Like so important. But I do think this helps with like basic execution.
So
Like
what were you feeling?
on this last stock
Yeah.
that I can't be touched. Like I can hit anything I want, and even if I miss, like I've already. The thing is, when you play confidently like this with your tech skill and execution, like the other opponent becomes so rattled even in their panic options,
Yeah.
and you can just kind of run them over. And that's the kind of thing you were talking about when I'm playing someone. Like you just like flick the switch.
So you just felt supreme confidence that moment.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And if you have your execute, like you're not having any negative thoughts either.
Hmm.
Like, oh, I'm not hitting something, or like um I'm not playing good enough. Like, no, it's like this. If even if you're losing and you're doing something like that, it's like I'm playing like the best I can right now, and I can win this. And I think when you reframe your mindset to that all across the board in tournament, like with positive language, and it's corny a lot of the times. Like if you watch me when I've played, I don't really stream tournaments anymore. Um,
Well, there's barely any tournaments, but yeah.
yeah, or at least in 2020, right? I did it a couple
Oh
times on
yeah.
that, and but one of the times that I did was during the first pound tournament when I beat HBox.
Yeah.
And when I was playing him, I was saying like shit that would make me cringe. Like, like I would like take his talk and be like, okay, good. Like I'd be like, nice, awesome. Like you got this. Like to myself, like I'm like an anime character or something.
Or
And
is
I,
I remember that clip moment where it's like I think he's gonna he thinks I'm gonna pound here, and then HBox says he thinks I'm gonna pound here or something like that.
yeah. But like having like positive dialogue in your head is it can only help.
Yeah.
Um,
It can only
and
help your
that
confidence.
it can only help your confidence, and that's the way you enter like this kind of like godlike execution
Yeah.
stage.
I
Yeah.
feel like I kind of understand that. I understand how you enter the feeling of
Hmm.
uh, how you how you can activate like your execution zone.
Hmm.
Um, but I feel like my problem is a little bit of something else. I do
Okay.
feel like it's part of that. It is part confidence, but it's also how I even know that I'm executing right. Because I'll tell you, I got, some people to help me out in late 2020, and he pointed out to me that one of my problems was that whenever I L canceled my late fare, I did not dash back until frame 6. I was
Oh
like,
wow.
what? Wait, what? And then it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, man, I feel like if you just like dash back frame 1 off of your fares, you could beat all these spacey players without even like forming a game plan. But because you L cancel at frame 6, you you make basically landing a fare a bad option, and that's why you don't trust it. I'm like, huh, I never knew that. Like, I never knew that my fares were that bad. And even at Summit, where Cody pointed out that, oh yeah, you do your waveland fares from the side platform really slow. Oh, you wave dash, do an action really slow. I just didn't even know that. The first time that I did the Uncle Punch wave dash event, I did not know that I was always 1 frame slow. That I always did my wave dashes frame 2 as opposed to frame 1. And
Hmm.
with you, you somehow knew the timing of being frame perfect. And it's not just you, it's also like the other top players like Mango, Plum, Wizzy. They somehow knew that they were being frame perfect their inputs. And it's not just raw random luck as well. Like they like somehow knew a method on how they knew they were being too fast or too slow. And I'm wondering if you did too.
A method.
Or maybe just not method, but like your process of like finding out that this is how you were frame perfect.
Um, I don't think I ever really. Hmm. I had a conversation with a friend who mentioned that to me
Yeah.
about how top. And this was early on in my melee career. He's like top melee players are like whether it's Mango, whether it's Hungry Box. Like Hungry Box actually insanely fast out of things.
Mm-hmm.
It's like yeah, it was instilled in me early that it was a priority to be able to like move as quickly out of something as you can. Like I guess that was vague to me, but it was always something that was in the back of my head as I was practicing. Um, so I had this mindset that I try to be as fast as possible. Um, and then even then, like I would have like thoughts about if I was doing something slowly. Like, does is it like I'd be actively thinking about if I could add something faster into my tech skill. So like I would shield drop and I'd be like, well, when I watch Plup, he's like way faster. I was like, I need to fast fall it. And it was stuff like that. So like actively thinking about what can make the process faster or just like more quick movement, you'll naturally come up with solutions, I feel like. Um and even something that applies to like neutral too. Like Cody was mentioning when I go for F smashes or something. Um
It was slow.
Slow and also like spacing wise, it was too like telegraphed. And
Mhm.
that's a little different, but it's similar in concept.
Yeah.
So I started letting them rip from like way close quarters, with like really tight wave dashes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what else. Like when I'd edge cancel, I'd be like, how do I make this fat? Like, all right, adding little fastballs in between. Um, Trying to think of what else. It just applies to like, oh, comboing. I'm like, when do I want to like, am I like hitting someone as quickly as I can in the combo to like mix up their DI, and when do I need to delay it to make it intentional to like mix up their DI, right? I'm like,
Your
am I
pivot
linking things
grabs.
that pivot grabs too? Yeah. Um,
I
Same
guess
concept.
like,
Yeah.
and so you knew how to be faster, and how'd you know what was your limit? Like, because you obviously can't be too fast, or else you can't get the input out at all. You try to do a wave dash one frame too early, you don't get a wave dash out at all.
I guess my limit for me would be like if I started messing it up. And then, which maybe is not the best way to look at it. But
Because like you obviously mess up if you do it a little bit too fast.
right, yeah. So I guess I would use that as a barometer. Like I'm like, okay, if I'm like air dodging here, like
Barometer.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense, and like that that sort of thing kind of transfers over with other characters. Like Mango has demonstrated that like he was so good with execution of one character, and then transfers over to like five other characters, where his characters are pretty fast. In fact, maybe even frame perfectly fast. And it's like, do you feel like it might have to do with like a barometer of sorts, where it's like he uh he kind of just like adjusted and like knew like the limits and like the not limits.
I think so. It's also just playing an insane amount.
Yeah, that too.
But also I would really recommend playing Fox.
Yeah,
Like
I mean, I
and
do play. I do play plenty of Falco too, where
I think Fox is a little more helpful just because it does feel faster.
yeah, for sure.
Um, and I think when you play, once you get your Fox to be like super fast, um, the if you play Marth right after, it feels like you're flying.
True,
I've had that thought specifically too.
true.
Um,
Although thinking about it, I do think there's. I noticed when Uncle Punch was telling me that I act frame three out of laser for playing Falco, I was like, wait, I
mhm.
could be way faster. But like, it just like never occurred in my mind that like I could be faster in some parts of it, and I just like never knew that like I could be more efficient. Especially like I acted so slow off of like an L canceled fair, you know?
Mhm. Do you think that same concept translates to why like I feel like when we talked about Falco last time and like
Yeah,
take laser fair,
yeah.
do you think that was like a deterrent from you learning it, like
Uh,
the speed of it and like acting out of it?
what do you mean?
How do I best phrase this?
Like, are you saying that I was deterred from learning take laser fair a while ago, or from our last lesson?
From a while ago.
Yeah, I was not a fan of getting out a jump before. Like I was okay with it if I could set up a jump, but if the jump was very tight, I don't think I could have done it back then.
Mm. Or something like you mentioned. I remember you mentioning about power shielding, like acting out of it is what you mentioned was a struggle.
Yeah,
And I feel
maybe.
like that has a lot of speed things correlated with it.
Yeah, like cause like getting the power shield is not the problem, but acting
It's
out of
not.
it is
Yep.
the bigger issue to me.
'Cause it's making
Typically.
a decision and also being executionally tight at the same time.
Yeah. So let me kind of, I guess, recap a little. Is that
Hmm.
in terms of like trying to get execution, like being like as good as possible with like the simple things, because I do think like getting like the good, like the really fancy things is good, and it could help you by simple things as well. But if I want to like really get the simple stuff down, it sounds like you kind of like got it to where you want it based on having like a sort of barometer in your head where like okay, it needs to be fast in the first place. See if I can push it a little, and then until I mess up, that's the limit.
Yeah, I'd say that's accurate.
Yeah,
Um, I do want to stress the importance of the benefit of learning the weirder and more obscure tech skill is not the technique itself.
yeah,
Um, it's the way that it's how do I say that? It's the way that you're approaching the game
mm-hmm.
and the speed that you're obtaining by learning that kind of stuff. Um, and like the confidence that you build by becoming a technical player. Like I don't know if I've described you as a super technical player, right?
No, you
And
I do not.
I think when you become that, like it becomes less of a problem. Like
And the thing is, like, I don't think I lack the ability to do so. Um, like, I think I know I could do it.
yeah,
I feel
I
like I
would
could do it,
I would
but
say that I was a technical player first and foremost,
mhm.
and then game plan came naturally after that.
Yeah,
Um,
I feel like I'm the opposite.
right, which is
uh,
fine because in my opinion, and I mean, it makes sense that I'm saying this because I learned it first. I think that the technical aspects are easier to learn. Um,
yeah, I don't know about that one, but yeah,
right. So we're opposites on that.
yeah.
Um,
Um, I guess. Do you think Mango did that, where like he like how different? Like I know I'm going on a huge tangent here. You don't have to answer here, but like, do you think his process was like? I feel like he focused mostly on the basics first, rather than
it was the
like going for the
basics, but
sick stuff.
it was making. I feel like for him, and I could be wrong. It's like how do I make the basics as unique to me as possible?
Mm,
So you take something like a concept like aerial drift that
yeah,
most people are employing,
yeah,
and you become cracked at it. Or you take
yeah,
something like wave dashing, and no one wave dashes like as Falco, or even
yeah,
like no one's looking like that.
yeah,
You take something like
yeah.
recovery. It's like okay, you can be tricky with your recoveries, but how like he was the first to like before like notches and stuff, like
Part of
really
the reason why I hesitated to say edge cancel stuff was because it felt like copying your answer, and I didn't want to say that. I didn't want to say edge cancels because that's not me. And it felt
fair.
like I would be copying you rather than saying, yeah, that's something that's unique to me. I was like, no, that's not. That's definitely not unique to me. That's unique to you.
Hmm.
Uh, well, it's not unique anymore per se, but like
It's not. Yeah.
then when you first hear edge cancel, everyone thinks of you.
It's funny. I was mentioning the confidence building stuff. If you watch my first set where I beat Plup, like
You're edge
in
canceling on
between,
the top
yeah,
platform.
in between stocks for no
Yeah,
reason.
yeah.
And what is that? What is that
People thought
accomplishing
it was
in game?
bad. I thought it was bad when I first saw it, but I was like, God damn, this guy is making it his own.
Yeah. So what is that accomplishing in game realistically?
Nothing. But
Nothing.
it gets you confidence.
It's giving. It's building. It's something that I'm comfortable doing. I'm like just movement that It's my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Um, and also, Plup is just like what the fuck. He's like running. He's like running into it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, yeah, I do remember there's like moments when I first saw that. Like there was moments where Plup was just running into it. It was like, I've never seen this before.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's stuff like yeah. I do think the answer lies within
I
the
guess I never
confidence.
found like a strong identity on like execution stuff for me, and that's
Right.
something I'll have to find out for myself.
It
Because I
starts with
definitely don't.
making execution enjoyable.
Yeah, yeah, I do feel like there's something. It's just I never made it a priority, and I don't want to just simply copy your answer on that part.
Hmm.
Uh, And the way how you said that, like his basics was unique to Mango, because when you think about it, yeah, it is definitely unique to him, and that's where he found pride in it.
Yeah. Well, what's Mango doing that's like super crazy? Like Bobby Big Ball is crazy.
Not very much, but when he like transfers over his basics to the Mango, oof, that's what makes it
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. It's like it's super cool because it's something that everyone can do, but it's just done at a like supremely insane level. Like, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and with one additional question regarding the whole consistency and like the confidence building about being in the zone of doing crazy tech that's unique to you. Um, what? How do you know that? Like, how do you like not mess up your thing? Like, and like even practice it in the first place? Like, how do you like ledge cancel your up B? Do your Zain drop? Like, how'd you even find out that you're even doing it right?
that I'm doing it right.
Yeah,
Um, what do you mean by doing it executionally wise?
yeah,
Not like how
execution
did I
really
find out
wise.
that I'm doing it right?
Yeah, like because the stuff like the up B ledge cancel was crazy to me. I was like, okay, I guess you just pull those out.
I think with Marth, the basis that you always rely on is like, can it be a fast fallen? Um, so that one second. Sorry.
Hitting him with the hard hitting questions.
Oh my God, my mom made spaghetti. Oh my God. Okay.
Don't spell it to your controller.
What'd you say?
Don't spell it to your controller.
I won't. I won't put it on my controller. I'm so scared now. But how do I know? Yeah, if something can be fast fallen, that's a good rule of thumb. Um, I don't know. It like if this is actually something that's funny is like if you look at a task. I used to look at task videos of Marth and be like, okay, I'm not gonna hit that, but I would see like little things in there. Like I would see them like edge canceling and be like, oh, you're supposed to like fast fall those or something. And like you can do that human. What can I do humanly from that? Which is actually a good way to look about it, I think. Or something. What I saw from task videos for the first time was like the platform canceled fares. And then I broke that down and I was like, is that hittable? And I hit it sometime. It's not like super useful or anything, but that's another example of something that builds my confidence.
Yeah.
If I hit it and I hit it intentionally and I'm L canceling it, like that those are like the steps of breaking it down. So I would learn that first and I wouldn't L cancel it and I'd be like, oh, I can probably L cancel. Like it's just stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Interesting. Very interesting.
Obviously I'm not saying base your game plan around being a task
Yeah, well,
mod,
this
but
is
like
this is all about execution stuff. I'm not talking
yeah,
about game plans at all because I that's not my problem. My problem is not about building game plans. It's mostly
yeah,
about
that's your
execution,
yeah,
and
yeah.
uh, and it frustrates me when my execution holds me back from my game plan at
I also
times.
think
And
I
I'm
feel
forced
like
to build game plans around my shitty execution at times.
right, right.
What are you gonna say?
Um, I was gonna say, oh, I feel like correct me if I'm wrong, but do you feel like you're of the mindset that if you do something that you don't feel was the right choice in your execution, that it tilts you or like it sets you back?
It really depends on my current state of mind and the setting because when it's tournament, uh, I force myself to think that's irrelevant and that I need to try to win with the tools I have right now. But in
Fair.
friendlies, yes, I do think it tends to compound a little.
Okay.
Because like a
I think
tournament, I can't afford to think that obviously, and I have like exercises to make sure it doesn't get in my head. But in friendlies, where like that the stakes are lower, like I do get a little tilted for my execution at times.
think so it is important and more important that you have the base game plan down of the right thing to do. I think
Yeah.
that is and I think that is very important.
Hmm.
But I do think it is for you as a player, I think you you need to learn more improvisation. And that's something that I think both Mango and I are very good at.
Yeah.
It's something that none is the best at.
Hmm.
Um, Actually, the set that I played versus none at Summit, like the most recent Summit, was really bad. but it's a perfect example of when things go wrong on the simple execution front.
Hmm.
How do you improvise after that
Yeah.
to make the best of your execution and not get tilted? Because I've missed so many basic edge
Yeah.
guards against Captain Falcon and basic punish routes, but my stuff, I think also because I'm playing none, or when I play someone like Bab, my mind is structured in a more creative way, um, where I'm more willing to like let something go and improvise after. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, that's essentially what happened to me versus Wizzy, where like I was playing really bad and then I just fell apart.
Wizzy is someone especially that if you do something that's you can really swag on Wizzy. Um, he like if you do like unexpected stuff versus him that's like off rhythm and like because I feel like his panic options are like not
Yeah.
super good.
Yeah.
And that happens when I play friendlies, I'm like, oh yeah, I always forget this. Like it's weird.
Yeah.
But
That makes sense.
his defense is so good on the basic stuff.
Yeah. Um the I felt like we thank you, Raj, but I felt like the question kinda went on a little tangent. The base
Mhm.
question was how do you practice things that just like that you like it's not easy to lab an up B ledge cancel and like the Zain drop. Uh
Sure.
like
Yeah,
you
you need to get out of Uncle Punch, which is a counterintuitive to a lot of people's way that they view practice. Uncle Punch is great for very specific things that they've laid out and
oh
structured,
by the way,
right?
Raj really wants me to tell you that he only got a B plus in improv.
That is true. I got a V plus in improv in high school. I had straight A's that quarter, and my man would not hook me up with a bonus. Except he said, and I went to him for extra credit, and I was like, "Is there anything I could do?" And he said, "Improvise right now." And then I just walked out. But yeah, that still pisses me off. But
You
what was
lost
that?
your one chance.
Yeah. No, I have
anyways
pride. What was I
anyways
saying?
well, so
About, oh
you're
yeah,
saying
getting out
don't
of
use
Uncle
Uncle
Punch.
Punch.
For yeah, I think you need just freeform like against a CPU, a level one CPU, or okay, like just plug in another controller. Just move around and like that's how I practice something like Zane drop, right? Um, I found it out by accident by like playing Captain Falcon, and I like did a knee and like turned around and grabbed the ledge, and I was like, what the heck? And then I did it like with a bunch of characters. I was like, what can Marth do with it? And
Mm-hmm.
then I was like, can I fast fall it? And then I would just do that in like versus mode. Same with like edge canceling around. Um, Same with like doing no impact lands, and then like doing PC drops off the platform into getting a no impact land on the top platform or something. Just like weird things like that. I'll just move around, and I'll just like look for new things. I still like look for new things, and it's really hard to find new things. Um, but yeah, does that make sense?
So it seems like you have some kind of fundamental building blocks, like for non-edge cancel techniques, like can I fast fall it? And then for
Hmm.
edge cancel stuff, what was it again? You just simply did
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I literally just spammed it. And I would see
Interesting.
I made it a challenge. I think making things challenge. I've heard Mega talk about this too, actually. It's like he would do something with Lucky on like four side where like how many drill shines can you get in a row or something. Making something a challenge is really useful because it'll just make you intrinsically better at the technique. So like how long can I go edge canceling around Yoshi's? Until I miss. I would do that with. I took something from Pew Pew as well. He mentioned how long. So like the Yoshi's platforms represent a full length dash dance from Marth. Did you know that?
That makes sense. I didn't know
Yeah.
that, but yeah, that think about it a little. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I remember he said that, and I would like dash dance on the platforms without trying to fall off. Um,
Oh.
like really max, like doing the max length, and see like I would get better at like I was falling off a lot at first, and I kept doing it like over and over. And I also find those things really fun, which a lot of people will just like a lot of people hate this about melee is the monotony. I have so many friends who could not like so many friends who are so gifted at breaking down the game and like they were better at, like, in my college, they were better than me at like breaking down the game and making like under explaining the game really and decision making. And I was kind of just an idiot who was just like practicing
Yeah,
a lot of tech skill,
yeah,
but they did not want to grind tech skill.
yeah.
Like that was a lot of people there, and I think the way they view the game also like helped me because I was like, oh, I should also be focusing on this. And then once I worked with like June for like analyzing stuff, I really found my own like unique way of breaking down the game that I like. But in terms of tech skill, like just put on some music, put on some whatever you like in the background, turn off your brain, because you really don't need to exert that much effort, and it'll just naturally improve across the board.
Um, I I feel like my best execution comes out when I'm not necessarily turning off my brain, but there
Okay,
is something going on with that. Like I'm not directly
you mentioned that. Yeah,
processing it. Like I'm not directly thinking about it, but it is being
sure.
processed to some degree. And I
And
feel
that's unique
like,
to everyone.
yeah, I feel like that's like whenever my best execution comes out, it's when there's something in the back of my brain that's like working. That's like really going into overdrive on like really getting making sure I execute everything perfectly. And
Hmm.
and then I have like no say on it. Like I feel like that structure kind of makes sense to me as opposed to like thinking nothing because like I can't just think about nothing because then I mess up. But it's
Sure.
when I somehow activate something that like another part of my brain is like doing something that I have no feedback for. Like I can't control it in a way. Like I can't force myself to say it in a way. So it's still like me like trying to subconsciously do something. I guess I'm just expressing it a little differently.
Yeah, I think that's something you have to find for yourself,
Yeah.
for sure.
And and I do feel like the execution thing like matters most against species, especially Fox. Um,
I'd say so.
and
Yeah,
like
I
that's like my most common opponent in most brackets.
yeah, it's really useful when you're an up and comer to just get disgusting versus Fox execution wise, because
I was the opposite. I never really liked fighting against Fox,
yeah,
and it makes sense if you were to think about it.
yeah.
In fact, a lot of my language right now is very thinking and not just feeling it.
Hmm.
So I guess that's like that's a little. I guess I'm already showing how much work I need to do on this.
Do you feel like you have a direct like path right now to
So
work on?
on if I were to recap on what we talked about,
Hmm.
I feel like the recap is being able to express something that's unique to me
Hmm.
can carry over to other things, especially if I like doing it. Then like having that feeling of confidence helps execution
Hmm.
and kind of like creating some kind of barometer on like the simple tech execution that that and even creating something unique out of that simple execution stuff that can help too.
Yeah.
Um, like that's what can help with like basic execution.
Hmm.
Um, and then even just trying to do things that aren't easy to lab, like if I just simply do it with like some fundamental things that can help. Um, and like maybe it could transfer some like if I were to play Fox really fast, that could perhaps make my mark flying.
Yeah.
Uh, I do have like a couple more remaining questions if you don't mind answering.
Sure.
And it's regarding the consistency of executing everything because you will like you will mess up even if you're playing your best. And like, what's your view on being consistent with execution?
Consistent with execution.
I feel like that's like
Um,
the perfect question to cap it off with.
sure. So
Especially when you like mess up in tournament and like or you find yourself not playing well. Let's just start off with like, how do you view consistency?
so So when you wrote stuff in the Google Docs that you made for me about like plan Bs and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
that was something that was kind of foreign to me. Um, because and I do think it's beneficial
Yeah.
to have other ways of executing,
Mm-hmm.
but I've always treated it as like a in close proximity to like my mental game. Um,
I see.
because I've already like I know what my hands are capable of,
Yeah.
and if it's not happening in the moment, I just have to like kind of reset. And for me, it's like finding something that's gonna make me warm or like heat up, whether that's a cool combo or a cool way of like getting an edge guard or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, those are things that get me back into the groove of things. Um,
I guess I'm the opposite of that. So like, even if I am compromising my execution, if it helps me win, then I don't care.
yeah, and I think at some a set like Summit where there was a lot, I think it was unique because there
Yes.
was a lot of pressure on the line, and
Yes.
I knew the money on the line, and it was hard for me to justify going into a comfort zone. Did you, like, was there any
Yeah.
moment where you felt like, compared to other sets where I play Mango, where like, did I do anything that was considered like swag? Probably not.
I mean, we all, everybody, every good player watching, like, we all knew that it was you both were not playing on point,
Well, not even a matter
and
of
you
playing on
didn't. Yeah,
point.
I don't think you did like anything. What by Zane Sanders was swaggy. Like you got the Picasso combo on freaking Yingling, but not
Yeah,
Mango.
was I doing anything against Mango that was like that I could like look at in the set and be
No,
like, fuck yeah, like that was sick, and
no.
like I'm gonna like use that to like no, there was nothing momentum boosting. It was my whole mind was like get the
Hmm.
kill,
I see.
like, and that's not usually how I play.
Yeah,
Um, like the sense of urgency.
yeah,
Um, but usually the way I frame it in tournaments, even by H with the H box, it kind of happened by accident because I still had that
yeah.
mentality in winners finals of like I need
Dude,
to win the like
your demeanor was so like it gave me Armada vibes that like you were the Terminator here, but I don't think that's good for you.
it's not, but I can do it.
Yeah,
I think I can win tournaments like that, but I think my natural mindset leans more towards it happened by accident versus the H box where I did.
yeah. You like did like 3 dares in a row versus him.
Yes, that was the moment in that game where I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh shit, yeah!" I was like, "I did something." I was like, "I forgot."
yeah,
Or I was trying to do it on FD too when I was down a game. I was like doing like down tilt pivot jab, and it was like where he like looked at me or something. But I was like,
yeah.
that I was up 3 stocks to 1, and I was like, this is me like regaining my confidence. So there are like concrete examples of that throughout like the sets that I play. Um, and I think that's the way that I boost my like I kind of remind myself like the consistency is already there in my head.
Hmm.
Because that's what I've worked for.
Yeah,
Like, and if I miss something in tournaments, it's more of a mental thing of like, let me get back there. Does that make sense?
yeah. Well, I guess if I were to add a quick question to that, like this is like you're saying this under the assumption that you're playing good. What if
Yes.
like you have to wake up for 10 a.m. pools? You are definitely off. Like like your body is not prepared.
Hmm.
Like have you do you do you relate to that problem?
I've played when I'm sick before. Um, that happened to be a main stage
Hmm.
and Evo 2018 pools. It was like, but it was pools, so it wasn't as.
Yeah.
But yeah, main stage I was sick.
Dang. And I remember you got like third.
I got there. I lost
Yeah.
to. Yeah, I was feeling shit, but I didn't want to. I was trying to ignore it.
Hmm.
So I think
I didn't based on how you were playing. I didn't know.
I think you have to, so it's weird because you have these external factors. I think it's about letting the adrenaline of something like tournament. Because when I played in tournament, it happened at GTX actually as well.
Hmm.
Um, you have to. I felt like when I was in the tournament, if regardless of whether I'm tired or juiced out, I would kind of go back to the stage where I felt okay, and then after the tournament ends or the match ends, I'm like completely exhausted. Do you ever feel that way?
Yes, all the freaking time, dude.
I think it's useful, but also kind of dangerous if you exhaust yourself like mid tournament.
I,
It's a weird thing to
yeah,
articulate. Yeah.
yeah. No,
Um,
I get that. I get that problem, and I'm wondering like how do you view that problem,
it's
or how do
it's
you
kind
like
of
approach that problem?
right. I kind of have this. I've never like really said it, but like in tournaments, so like something at Genesis, I had this like conscious thought of like all the way up to top eight, I want to be able to conserve.
Yeah,
Um, I want I want my absolute worst to be able to get to that point.
yeah,
And then once top eight hits, like I have all this energy to like
yes,
really play the game.
yeah,
Um, and that might not work for everyone, but that's definitely something that I thought uh at Summit it's a very important principle because you play all these pools matches that
yes,
and they might not even matter.
yeah,
And then the last day is like this fucking marathon.
yeah. Oh
Um,
yeah, dude.
SELs were a good test for that because it was all day and you had to wait so long and like conserve your energy.
Yeah, right.
It's hard. It's unique for everybody. I know Wizzy likes to go for runs. Um, a lot of people just
So for you, it sounds like it's a combination of using tournament adrenaline and conserving your energy.
it is, yeah. I don't drink any caffeine either because I don't want to mess. Like, I
Really?
drink coffee. Yeah, I drink coffee on a Friday when I play Moki, and
Yeah,
I feel crazy.
yeah.
Uh,
I'm surprised that you don't do it for tournament
do you do it?
occasionally. If I, cause like I feel like my biggest roadblock for playing, like my biggest external factor for tournament is sleep issues and
Mm,
sometimes food, a lot of times food. But it's those two. And one thing I did for Rollback Rumble, the big one, was that like I did not get good sleep for day three, and I forced myself to chug down a coffee because I actually don't like coffee very much, but I chugged it down
hmm
anyways, and it made me play at an acceptable level.
hmm. Interesting. Yeah,
I'm kind of surprised you don't do that.
I definitely yeah. I've never entered a tournament where I use caffeine.
Hmm.
Like never. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it also impacts people differently, but I mean, if you felt cracked in friendlies, maybe you could.
I did feel.
I
I don't
do
know if it was
I do suspect that it might give you a crash, especially like if you're because for me, I don't drink coffee that regularly. Like I drink it maybe once a week or every 2 weeks. So like
right.
the effect is still strong to me, and I don't really feel a crash. But I feel like maybe it might if you are a regular
Oof,
drinker.
right before a grand final set. Oh, just
So
like an hour before. Even
yeah.
if it's a placebo.
So I don't know. I guess something to experiment. But I have used it
I,
before.
I might try it out. Yeah, I don't know. It just scares me because I
Like
don't want to
just
rely.
yeah, I agree, and I feel like it should only be your last resort. Like
Hmm.
because like I only did it as a last resort because especially rollback rumble like there was everything in the line that I was like I have to try this because I don't because I've had so many tournaments where like I busted out because of bad sleep. I'm like I'm not letting it go away this time.
Right.
And then I actually also did the same thing at summits because dude they make you get up at 10 a.m. every time and I was like all right I have to drink this.
I w- so yeah. So how early would you go back to the hotel room? Do you just have a hard time sleeping?
Yeah, that in general, and like I would go back at a reasonable time and then not actually sleep until like 2 a.m.
Ew. And then get up
I
at
always say
yeah.
that East Coasters have an advantage for being 3 hours ahead, dude.
Hmm.
And then when
Yeah.
West Coasters go to East Coast, we're at a significant disadvantage.
I don't know. I was in LA for like 2 weeks before or something.
Yeah, yeah. But I
But
don't know. We just went on a big tangent. But
yeah.
that's how you know, that's how I deal with like early morning stuff here and there.
Gotcha.
It's either that or I suck it up. Well, for
Hmm.
Riptide for day one, since there was nothing important, I actually only got like 3 hours of sleep day one, so then I could get like 14 hours of sleep day two. Because like I purposely sleep deprive myself so then I could go to sleep earlier.
That doesn't sound good, but if
It
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 works.
worked for me. I made it through day two.
Hmm.
somehow.
Yeah. I need my 8 hours.
uh, yeah, I mean, to recap though, you keep consistency with conservation and conservation and using tournament adrenaline. And you know what I think could also help you is like during when you're conserving, I love conserving using those hand warmer gloves.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So then so like I don't have to play because like part of the problem if you're conserving energy is that you're not warmed up, but you are warmed up if you have hand warmers of some sort. And I
Right.
find like the best one
Yeah,
are the
I do the
gloves.
same. I just listen to music and sit.
You could listen to music and sit and have warm hands.
True. Yeah, at Summit I got there. I was the first person in the venue because I got there super. I came with the commentators on the last day,
Mm.
and I literally sat on the couch for like 2 hours just listening to
Huh?
music.
Wait, why
It's
even go then?
why even go
Yeah,
early?
yeah,
Because I like to put myself in the environment early just to get
I see. I came.
just put myself in the state of mind.
Yeah. When I found out that our match was like last, I came as late as possible so I could get the most amount of sleep possible.
Gotcha.
uh, but yeah, I feel like we talked a good amount about execution stuff, and I feel like a lot of it was very helpful. Uh,
That's good.
I guess like I have like some direction in mind for me is that I need to like find something only execution wise on how something that is unique to me, how like that is something that I could just be proud of calling like that's KoDoRiN right there.
Right.
Uh, because I never felt like I had that,
Hmm.
and kind of like create a barometer in my head. Is like, is this too early? Is this too late? Because I always felt like I lacked that barometer too. Like I had to have someone else tell me that my frames are 6 frames late, and
Right.
essentially I did really late. I was acting really late out late fairs, and that's not good.
That's
Uh,
interesting. Yeah.
uh,
I guess because it wasn't a priority in your head, really.
yeah, I never knew
Yeah.
until somebody pointed it out to me. And then even then, right now, when people saying I'm slow, like I never knew I was slow in that aspect.
Yeah.
Uh, so I think like having a barometer is the first step. And then in regards to consistency, it sounds like to you your way of getting back into it is like doing something sick
Hmm.
that kind of gives you some kind of adrenaline. And I feel like
Yeah.
even in friendlies, when I watch you play in friendlies, like whenever you do sick things, that just
The
like
match becomes a wash.
yeah, like you enter the matrix.
Hmm.
It's like yeah, you know, you just run them over.
Yeah. It makes every opening so much more boosted. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And thinking about it, it's like every top player has like their own thing that I feel like inherently gives him some confidence boost. So like I feel like for Mewtwo King, it's like whenever he like does like a sick edge guard that's like
Like edge guard.
exclusive
Mewtwo
to
Kings is
him.
the edge guard.
Like
Yeah.
I watch bots of them every now and then, and like it's like what the hell? It's like I never thought about this edge guard flowchart.
Hmm.
Like even in like 2017, and then like
Yeah.
PP he has his like his own crazy movement tricks that like no one really does. That's like that is so PP, and
Yeah.
like Mango obviously we already talked about him. Plup like yeah they all have
Mango
their own
has this
thing.
thing where he just wave dashes out of shield a bunch.
Yes, that's the
Yeah, that's
Mango.
it. That's his little thing that like he's like I'm playing good. I think
Unfortunately, I've been in the butt end of that many times in this friendlies. It's like, well, yeah, I thought I spaced this nair perfectly. It hit every other Falco if they try to act out of shield. Not Mango. His way dash jabs
yeah,
out of shield. It's like, what the fuck? I,
yeah.
I didn't
It's
think
clean.
Falco had those.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was like,
Hopefully, yeah. I think it's cool to look at like yeah, everyone's individually.
yeah.
Axes are also edge guards, I feel
Hmm. Yeah.
like really deep edge guards that get that's what gets them the adrenaline and like
Yeah, for me,
yeah.
I'm just simply like the strategy guy, the analyst guy,
Hmm.
the tactics guy, and I'm not really like an execution guy. So,
Yeah,
hmm.
working
Well,
on that.
I'll be working on that myself. What are some feedback that I could give to you? Some